He was a big activist in India in the 2000s against GMO. Then she went to the West and became a nut job. Yeah, well, that's what you get for ever supporting an anti-GMO activist. Listen, guys, any hippie woo-woo bullshit in an activist, death penalty. Easiest way to deal with it, okay? It always ends up poorly. Every single time. Without exception, every time the hippie woo-woo shit. Every fucking time, dude. Every single fucking time, okay? You guys think because you watch me, oh, I'm so rational. Oh, I'm the biggest, brainest boy. No, you don't get it, okay? Humanity is not built for rationality, all right? Saying humanity is built for rationality is like building a moon colony, waking up in it one day and going, yeah, dude, like, this is just how we are. We're on the moon colony, not accepting the fact that it takes billions in yearly upkeep to maintain it. Being a rational person, by the way, there's no such thing as a rational person. There are people with a predisposition for rational modes of thought. A rational person can be irrational, and irrational people can be rational. Believing you're a rational person is the first, like, it's the first step to being a stupid piece of shit, okay? Because it makes you think that any of your conclusions must necessarily be born of a rational process. It's an arrogant, don't do that, okay? Like, rationality, the process of rationality, we kind of had to develop it, you know? Like, we didn't really have reliable processes for understanding rational behavior for most of human history. And even after we kind of sort of got it down, we still suck at it. Still kind of shit at it. I have no respect for any of this, you know, this woo-woo bullshit. I would rather people be, you know, numb and empiricist in the most boring way imaginable than them succumb to even a tiny drop of hippie woo-woo bullshit. You know, I think you can be a strict empiricist and still have fun with life, obviously. You know, necessary metaphysical presuppositions. Like, yeah, it's very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. You can't do that. Can't do that. What do you think about nature? I think it's cool. But, like, there's bugs there, so I'll stay inside. But I think it's cool that it's there. The problem is there's a huge part of the population that's naturally attracted to woo-woo and probably always will be. I do think it's a brain problem. I do think that. Not necessarily a nature versus nurture thing. I think it can be either. But I do think it's like a brain thing, you know? Like, some people just have, like, an aversion to rational thought. I don't know. I think it's mostly a nurture thing. I think overwhelmingly people can be educated into it, you know? Hippie woo all leads to alt-right Holocaust denialism. Well, like I said before, like I've said many times, there is an overlap with believing in horoscopes and being a fascist. Those two things correspond. Not perfectly, but there is definitely a predisposition there. Really? Yeah. Imagine believing people's personalities are dictated by the month they're born in. If you believe that, you can be led to believe all sorts of essentialist bullshit about the nature of humans based on characteristics of their birth. It's always been like a deeply reactionary kind of essentialism. Like, I know it's all jokey, like, oh, you know, Scorpios do this or Aquariuses do that or whatever else, but do you think there ever might be a reason why the Nazis were into the occult? Like, do you think it might be, like, more than a coincidence that the Nazis were famously into occult theology? Yeah. A rejection of rationality on one front opens up a rejection of rationality on other fronts. Bottoms are annoying, though, biologically, right? Yeah, of course. Dude, my ex was like that. She was super into astrology. She was vegan, blah, blah, but she was a devout JP fan who loved his 12 rules. I think to understand stuff like that, I think it's most important that you understand that when people believe something that doesn't make sense, it's not about the belief itself. It's about how that belief makes them feel. Overwhelmingly, it is the case that if a person believes something that is just, like, indefensibly irrational, it's not about the belief itself. It's about the vibes. Yeah, it's about how it makes them feel. Maybe it makes them feel like there's some control or order to the world that they need to feel exists, you know? Maybe it's like the idea that they're special or they have insight other people don't possess. Maybe it's pure copium. Yeah, who knows? Not that I disagree, but what do you think makes empiricism different? On a fundamental level, when it comes to emotional satiation, it really comes down to, like, why you like doing what you do and what makes you feel good, you know? Some people feel good by being right, but being right and feeling right are the same thing when it comes to your emotional reward centers. So you don't want to get the satisfaction from being or feeling right. It's from the process. I think that, like, on an emotional level, it's pretty difficult to distinguish, but on an empirical level, it is easy to distinguish. So it's really about those arbitrary presuppositions about what things you value, you know? You're never gonna, like, attain perfect truth or anything like that, but I do think there are processes you can develop that will allow you to more reliably arrive at good conclusions. And you should defend the process more than the outcomes. Discombobulate. True. Never trust people with spiritual beliefs. You have no idea what kind of crazy shit. Isn't that circular, though? Well, if you're a moral anti-realist, then yeah, it has to be circular. But it has to go back to metaphysics. You just have to appeal to axiomatic beliefs that most people have, like, a predisposition towards anyway. There's also provability. So, for example, it's possible to form logically consistent circular reasoning in favor of things that are empirically wrong, but you can test them, right? So, for example, like, it's possible to be a Nazi and have a morally consistent worldview, but consistency is easy. Being consistent is super easy. Anyone can do consistency. Make a consistent code, you know? 1 and 2 equal 3. Whoa, we did it. Wow, it's consistent. 1 and 2 equal 4 if you define 2 to equal 3. Whoa. Like, consistency doesn't mean anything, right? What matters is, like, the practical outcome of applying those ideologies and those axiomatic beliefs. Do what makes you happy, detention. I always thought people have more or less the same axioms when I talk to them. I do think most people have more or less the same axioms. I think a lot of people are just, like, really ignorant about their application and are very inconsistent about them. There are people who do have, like, different axioms, though. Fascists are the ones that can most reliably be found to have the different axioms, because fascists have, like, an axiomatic aversion to, like, degeneracy, for example. Like, they think that it's inherently morally good to, like, kill all gay people or whatever, even if they cannot prove it benefits society in any way, because they appeal to some kind of abstract notion of social health that can't be empirically tested in any way. So functionally, it's like a different axiomatic value. Their axiomatic value is like the concept of, like, a pure, like, you know, morally virtuous social fabric, you know, whatever the fuck that means to them. And that can be consistent. That doesn't mean it's good. Spiritualism, basically. Well, it's an axiomatic value, but I think it's one that they apply inaccurately and inconsistently, and it leads to harm. Like I said, I'm a moral anti-realist. I don't think there's a way to objectively prove that any one moral system is better than any other moral system. You make the best arguments you can, and if other people disagree with you at the end of the day, you just put them in prison. That's not a joke. That's literally what we do. Why do you think we lock up murderers and rapists? Because we have axiomatic values towards individual autonomy and happiness that we feel are violated by people who commit those acts. Like, it's possible that any individual rapist might have a consistent moral philosophy that allows for them to rape. Do we care? Do we debate them? No, they go to jail. Why would we debate them on that? Like, what? Just lock them up. You can debate them while they're in jail if you want. It's not specifically because we disagree with them, it's because of their own actions. Yes, that is true. Yeah, to be more clear, it's the actions which are a product of their beliefs. Yeah. We don't really do thought crimes at present. The Nazis did, you know. I mean, some people do, but we generally don't. But if if their beliefs on, like, a given ethical system lead them to act towards those beliefs in opposition to ours, like, yeah, you arrest them. Shouldn't we be prison abolitionists, though? Fine, we can just kill them. Now, I'm not really a prison abolitionist. I think that you can do a lot of good to change the way prisons are made or, like, organized, but I've never heard, like, a good narrative for what prison abolitionism would look like. Like, there are always going to be bad people. What about rehabilitation? Yeah, but that's reform. That's still, like, you rehabilitate in the prison. Yeah, removing people from society is sometimes something you just need to do. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. What would a prison look like in a communist society? I mean, honestly, just like a well-funded, highly reform-based, you know, prison. You would have to do a bunch of, like, work around the system to make it, you know, ethical and humane. And you would have to do a bunch of research into how you could effectively rehabilitate people, blah, blah. But, you know, I mean, sometimes you just got to remove people from society. Like, what if somebody likes murder, you know? Like, I mean, you can home arrest? What if they have, like, family? Also, what if they just leave the house and kill more people? Do you just home arrest them again? Do you have, like, guards posted outside their house? Isn't that totally essentialist? No? If a person kills people and they're, like, dangerous, I don't think it's essentialist to be like, yeah, you probably should be away from people. Depends on the prisoner. Well, I'm talking about a murderer here. Isn't it more of a mental illness thing? They would go to a place for that? Mental illness thing? I'm talking about crimes here. I don't think a person should be locked up just for being mentally ill. They should, you know, there should be medical resources. Still a prison, though? Then fine, it's a prison. Whatever. Prison it up. Hell yeah, absolutely. What do you think about the legality of escaping prison? Prison break should be legal. It shouldn't add on to your sentence. I agree with Germany on this. Freedom is like a fundamental human desire. I don't think there's anything, like, I don't think it's morally wrong for someone in prison to want to break free, you know? Of course, if they, like, kill a guard on their way out or whatever. Like, you know, if they do something bad on the way out, then okay. But if they're just attempting to get out, you know, like, yeah. Hold on. Woo! Look at how fucking high these ride up, dude. It's so warm in here. Jesus.